Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of WesteroSCraft Walks with your host, Dutchguard. Today we're here in Dorne, and we're taking a look at Plankytown, which was built and led by my friend here, Bafflement, who is going to be taking us through the build today, and I'm going to be asking her some questions about how she built it, about the style, and about the lore behind Plankytown. So say hello, Baffle.
Hello.
So she'll be showing us through Plankytown today, so without further ado, let's make our way. Alright, so tell us about where we are in Westeros, Baffle.
Well, we are at the mouth of the Greenblood, or very close to it, which is the main river that flows through Dorne.
Okay, and that sort of runs west to east, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool, and that sort of empties out by Sunspear, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, very close to Sunspear, actually.
Alright, so is this close to Sunspear?
Yeah, Sunspear's not built yet or anything, but where we were in that pass, whenever it is built, we should be able to see the Shadow City.
Oh, very cool. And for those of you who don't know, Sunspear is the main fortress city of the Martells, who are, of course, the controlling household of Dorne. So what sort of role does Plankytown have to play in terms of the Martells and the area of Dorne that it's in?
Well, Plankytown is home to the orphans of the Greenblood, and the Martells are actually House Nymeros Martell because of the warrior queen Nymeria. And she led the orphans of the Greenblood, well, back whenever they were the Dornish, to Dorne. So they fled Royne because of the Dragon Lords were attacking them.
Ah, right. So these are the Roynish who come from the Royne River of Essos, and were being attacked by the Dragon Lords, as you say. And so they fled and they came here to the Greenblood, and which is sort of similar to the Royne, and they just sort of built their own culture here in Westeros?
Yep. They just they recreated their boats here from the burnt-out hulls of the ships that they traveled back on.
Oh, cool. And what are we looking at here?
This is a silk dyeing area.
Okay, so is that sort of one of the main exports, one of the goods coming from Plankytown?
Yeah, well, one of the things we know about Dorne is that many of the lords will wrap their heads in silk scarves and such to protect themselves from the sun, so we felt like it was pretty important to represent this in a little way at least. Ah,
very cool. So that's a nice little detail you've built here. Very nice. Alright, moving on. Yeah, so this is our first video in Dorne, and this is one of the first builds that we started in Dorne, in what we like to call the South Part 1, because our whole map is split up into 4 quarters, and or South Part 2, excuse me, and it's the bottommost quarter, so it's the second part of the southern half of Westeros. And so we're very excited about this build, and it definitely shows off the style of Dorne that we want for at least this area of Dorne. Baffle, do you want to tell us a little bit about the style and sort of how you created it?
Yeah, I looked at a lot of Northern African architecture, as well as I live in New Mexico, so I can look at a lot of stucco all day, so...
Alright, so, and what's this here? I think I see a flaming heart, which piques my interest.
Oh, well, because this is a major port town, that is, representing the fire god, Azor Ahai.
Yeah, Rolor, the red god, yeah. So
yeah.
This is one of his temples?
Yes, it is.
Ah, very cool. You can always sort of tell because of those banners, and I think there's like red blocks mixed in here as well, sort of show off the red god's colors.
Yeah, it's one of them that doesn't quite conform to the same style as all the other buildings in town.
Ah, okay, cool. So even that has its own sort of unique flair to set it apart.
Yep.
And what kind of trees are these? I mean, this is the first time we're seeing these trees in these videos, so do you want to tell us about these trees and the kind of vegetation you have around here?
Yeah, these are date palms, and, yeah, you can see some dates up there on them, and then the palm leaf texture, which is a new one. And, the rest of it is just long grass, and then, like, I'll show you some of the gardens here in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, let's keep moving on. Sorry, I keep stopping because there's so much cool stuff to take a look at, but I'm sure you've got plenty to show us, so onwards. What else? Oiled spear brothel. You've got some brothels around here as well.
Of course, it's Dorne.
Yeah, of course. They've got all their vices here in Plankytown. So is there... oh, and this is a sept, you know, so you've got the Temple of the Red God, and you've got a sept here as well. Very nice.
Yep, and then right next to the sept is a very large statue of Nymeria.
Ah, okay.
The warrior queen.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Nymeria?
Well, she was a princess in Royne, and then whenever she fled her people, they stayed in the Summer Islands for a little bit, and then they ended up coming here and landing in Dorne. And whenever they landed in Dorne, all the Dornish lords were still fighting for control of Dorne. So she took to wed Morse Martell, and that's whenever the Martell family became the Nymeros Martell family. And she helped him conquer Dorne, with all of her troops, of course.
Ah, cool. So is that sort of one of the foundations of House Martell?
Yes.
Ah, very cool. So it's very appropriate for her to have a giant statue here in Plankytown.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very nice statue. All right. Moving right along. We've got some more date palms up there. I really love we've got those new palm trunk textures because it just didn't work well with our other normal textures, so we had to create a special texture for that. I think that turned out really nicely with the palm leaf textures as well. Yeah, I think Dorne, because it is a completely different climate from anywhere else in Westeros, has its own set of vegetation, which Baffle is saying we'll take a look at more closely later on. What do we got here, Baffle? Where are we looking at?
This is the floating market.
Okay. And why is it called the floating market?
Well, if you walk over here to the edge of it, you can see that it's just filled with boats that are coming and selling stuff that they've picked from along the sides of the stream and such, and you can actually cross the whole little river right here by boat.
Alright, so is this part of the Green Blood?
Yes, this is.
Okay. Very cool. So it's like a floating market of, like, instead of stalls, you've got little boats, people selling goods and things.
Yep.
Very nice. Alright, cool. So is this sort of one of the main market areas, then, of Plankytown?
Yes.
Alright. So another question for you. Who controls Plankytown? Because I know when we go to most towns, like Tumbleton, for example, was controlled by House Footley. Is Plankytown controlled by a specific house, or is there a keep for a specific house here?
Well, we're not very sure about it. So it might be ruled by Lemonwood. It might be in direct control of the Martells. But just to make it sure, we built 2 really small nightly houses here. Well, kind of like manors.
Okay. Are we going to take a look at one of those later on, or is it sort of off the path?
Yep, that's actually our next stop, through the gardens and over to the one S&P built.
Amazing. Let's take a look. Oh, cool. Love these banners everywhere. And just the colors are so vibrant, you know. I mean, it's great because you've got this sort of stark, sort of bleak desert surroundings, and then you come across one of the towns in Dorne, and it's just got all these lovely colors of the silks and all these different flowers. And like this garden here, it's just so beautiful and just a nice splash of color in an otherwise pretty boring desert atmosphere. So tell us about... Yeah, go on. Tell us about this garden.
Well, it's a little bit experimental, but these are, I think, ginger, turmeric. I think we've got an experimental chili over there, and then, of course, pomegranate.
Oh, very cool.
I mean, you have to use your imagination, but, you know, like, I imagine what would be grown in Dorne would be mostly spices and citrus, right? So...
Yeah, and of course we can't make a block for every single crop there is, so we just sort of had to get creative. Alright. Is this one of the nightly houses here, then?
Yes. This with all the red and white over here.
Alright. Very cool. Very good example of the architecture you have here. Pretty grand example of the architecture, I have to say. You can see some of the unique blocks as well that we've used for this build and by Dorne by extension. We've got these red shutters here for the windows, and these sort of they're not glass windows, but they're what are they made of?
I believe that they're like a carved wood net kind of.
Right.
I'm not really sure.
So it's like sort of slatted wood, so it is breathable. So they can get some fresh air inside. And I think up there on that second floor, it's carved stone, I believe. I think so. I think that's what it is. And you've got some carved stone details on the top there as well. Alright, and so who does this house belong to? Which knight? Baffle?
Oh, sorry, I was pressing the wrong button.
Oh, that's alright.
This is the knight that controls the olive fields. It's not a named knight or anything that we know about in the books and anything, so... But he's definitely the more rich out of the two knights of the town, so...
Oh, cool. Well, you can definitely tell, because he's got a pretty big, fancy building overlooking the rest of the town. Alright, what's next?
Well, if we go behind his house, if I can figure out how to get over there, there's a really nice, quern, sorry.
A really nice what, sorry?
A quern for pressing olive oil. Sorry, this is a little experimental. I'm going to have to jump over these walls.
That's alright. I'm pretty used to parkour on these videos. I tend to get myself lost, and sometimes that's the only answer to find yourself out of a tricky situation. Okay. Alright.
So all this over here is for processing of the olives.
Oh, I see. So it's like a big grinder for making olive oil, is it?
Yep.
Oh, very cool. I don't think I've even seen this before. This is really nice. You can make out sort of the grinding stones here, and this, I guess you would attach like a donkey or something, or a horse to this, and it would drag it around?
Yes.
Oh, very cool. Alright. Where to next?
We're just going to make our way back up to the road and back into town.
Alright. So we've got some cool gardens here again. You can see the green blood in the distance there. All that terrain in the by the horizon there is sort of usually what you get around the green blood, because it obviously does irrigate the banks of the green blood, so you've got more greenery there than you would in the rest of Dorne. Most of Dorne is a desert, and once we get to some of our more deserty builds like sandstone, you'll see those beautiful sand dunes that you can already explore on the server if you'd like to, but we will eventually also cover that in our videos. So yeah, we're just making our way through the town of Plankytown, heading back across into the main town. Did you have anything in mind for the layout for this town, or was there something specific to Dorne, how you laid out this town, Baffle?
Well, I tried to keep it really organic looking, so I didn't want any grids, because those are kind of more of a modern-day railroad invention.
Alright, so it is sort of just houses springing up maybe around where the green blood flows through the town.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Oh, we've got a visitor. Hello there, Mr. Flying Man. People are always very curious as to what I'm doing, just wandering around all the time. But, that's just part of the job. Right, so we're heading back over the green blood now, over the floating market, which is super cool.
Well, part of the green blood.
What part of the green blood? Oh, right. Okay, so that's the other part.
Yeah, this here is like a small island in the middle of the green blood.
Oh, I see. Right, so this, or where this building is, it's sort of on a bank in the middle of the green blood, I see. Very nice. Very nice. We've got more ships. We've got ships everywhere, just little boats floating around. And that must be, of course, because of the Dornish culture and them living on boats all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to check out any of the pole boats, these are what the orphans of the green blood live in. Well, the majority of them.
Okay, ships like this?
Yes.
Alright. Oh yeah, you can see a little bed in here. Sort of just like houseboats that you might see in some big cities in Europe.
Indeed.
Alright. This is a pretty big one over here. What's this one?
That is the brothel boat that everybody calls the bang boat.
Right. Well, you can tell we've got the red lanterns hanging up here and some of the red curtains. Lots of nice places to sit and relax and talk to whores.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but...
But, you know what, it's not entirely unrealistic. I mean, if everyone has a trade on a ship, eventually someone probably came up with the bright idea for a brothel boat.
Indeed.
Alright, so heading back over another bridge here. And I can see, I love, that's the sept there, and I love the sort of the rusted copper or brass, what is it? Rusted iron, I think? Or is it brass?
I think it's brass.
Okay. It's like brass domes everywhere. You've got one there, you've got some copper ones over there, and that, of course, is another feature of Dorne, an architectural feature, which I find very cool to look at. There's another one there. You can see another one in the distance over there. All right, so there's some bigger ships over here now.
Indeed.
Yeah. Very nice.
But if we go over here, there's also one of my favorite pull boats on it. It's the Mummers Show pull boat.
Okay. And what happens in the Mummers Show pull boat?
Well, it's basically a floating playhouse.
Oh, cool. So this is the little stage that I'm in right now, a little backdrop, a nice little set. Very nice.
Indeed.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I do like that. Mummers, of course, being the George R.R. Martin term for, I guess, actors or clowns or a mixture of the two. Which is pretty nifty. Alright. Oh, Baffle, where'd you go? Where are you? I'm lost.
Oh, I'm in front of the... yeah.
I see you. Okay.
So now we're just going to check out the Great Lighthouse. Which is also the, where the customs officer lives.
Okay. And the customs officer is, of course, very important for all of the traders and merchants that come into Plankytown and want to sell and buy. Alright. Going up the stairs?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, this is pretty luxurious. This is where the customs officer lives?
Yes, it is.
Alright. Very, very nice. You can see those stone windows again. That's sort of a carved stone. The Dornish, who are probably pretty good at stoneworking, as all of their sort of architecture is based around carving this light sandstone. We've also got these specialized ovens that we use in Dorne, sort of making use of that sandstone texture and color. Alright. And up more stairs. Of course, we are in a lighthouse, so I'm guessing there's lots and lots of stairs to be going up.
Yes.
Alright, got a big map of Westeros there. Just in case, Dorne's all the way at the bottom there, and we're just on the toe of that foot at the bottom of Dorne, if you're looking at a map of Westeros. Alright, and this must be his sleeping chambers. Very nice.
Yes.
Yep, like I said in one of the previous videos, double bed usually means it's a pretty important person, or at least pretty wealthy. So this customs officer is probably making a pretty decent salary. Alright. We're going up the lighthouse now, correct?
Indeed, but I wanted to show you the tiny rookery that is in this place. Because even though he's not a lord, it's probably pretty important for him to get messages.
Yeah, definitely. And, I always love a good rookery, and, every single major location in Westeros needs a rookery so they can communicate to and from the various lords of Westeros. So even, 1 or 2 cages for ravens is pretty necessary. Right. Where are we here? Another level of the lighthouse.
Yeah, this is just barrels of oil and wood to keep the fire going.
All right. And so what are the kinds of ships that are out here? They've sailed here from various parts of Westeros and Essos, perhaps?
Yes, there are a few from Essos as well. The big one in the front that has blue on it is a Volantine ship. Ah. And then if you look out into the bay, it's got white sails and some copper on the front of it. That is the first swan ship on our server.
Oh, swan ship. What does that mean?
It's from the Summer Islands.
Oh, very cool. The Summer Islands,
and they're supposed to be different from any other boats. So.
Okay. Well, you can see it from there, from where I'm standing. I can't really get over there right now for fear of falling to my death. But if you want to check it out, make sure you /warp Plankytown and take a look at our very first swan ship on the WesterosCraft server, which hails from the Summer Isles, which are, of course, a small group of islands far south of Westeros, where the Summer Islanders reside, obviously. Very cool. All right. So we're nearing the top of the lighthouse, I think?
Yep.
Okay, here we are. All right, the Great Lighthouse of Plankytown. And why is this lighthouse so important?
Well, because Plankytown is such a trade-centered port city, we figured that, lighthouse is pretty important there. But then, especially because it's the major port before you reach Sunsphere.
Ah, yeah, of course. Wow, and looking out at all of this now, you can just see how large Plankytown is, and all of the different houses, and you can see the floating market there, all the way down there, floating along the Greenblood, and this is where it sort of empties out into the Narrow Sea, correct?
Yep.
And tell me about how long it took you to plan and build all of Plankytown.
Well, I was planning it before our South Park 2 came out, so it was probably in the works for about 8 months, but the build itself only took about 3 months.
Alright, so not too bad by server standards, and I think you've done a really, really nice job here.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to tell us about Plankytown?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Alright, amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming with me on this tour of Plankytown, the first build in Dorne that we're showing you here on our YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, and I hope to see you on Tuesday for our next episode. See you then!